because we all know about GST. I would be running fast with the introduction part. It stands for goods and service tax. It is on supply of goods. We had forgotten the basic words, the purchase and sale. Now there is no concept of purchase or sale of goods. It is supply of goods or services, and it is a destination based than origin based, and it is on a dual concept. You will have to see there is two type of basic outward supply or inward supply. It is interstate supply or intra-state supply, and there are basically two acts. One is CGST, the other is SGST, but a contrary addition to it is IGST. There are certain exclusions. I think all of you are aware to it, and there is much demand as on date that at least petroleum, crude, high-speed diesel, and aviation turbine fuel, natural gas, petrol should be included in the GST, because there is a big loss which is coming. What were the taxes subsumed? That has been subsumed. The central taxes has been subsumed under CGST, and the state taxes has been subsumed under the SGST. I think that is something which we all never expected when we were talking about the sales tax era or in the VAT era. We never thought that GST would come, but looking to the will of this government, looking to the will of our beloved Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi, we have seen that GST has been implemented. Though it has been implemented with hiccups, we all know that there are hiccups, there are issues, but leave apart that everything, we are seeing that there is a comparison. This PPT would be shared with you very shortly in your groups. So please join the groups, join the links which I have sent you. This PPT would be shared to you. So these comparisons are what was the erstwhile law and what is there in GST. Like nature of tax was origin based, now it is consumption based, and so on. I think everybody is aware of this, and I would be moving it fast because now there are some constitutional amendments, and this came up with the 101 Constitutional Amendment Act. Some says 101 figure is a very lucky figure in Indian mythology. Yes, it is lucky. It is good. It is simple. It is good for business. It is good for working. But alas, because of some hiccups, because of the procedure things, we had seen that there are many issues and many things which are there. And with this, let us come to the first topic, which is the main topic. I would be starting with the discussion, that is registration. Friends, here we would start with the discussion, and with this I would be saying what are there, what are not there, and what is we have to cover. Now, if we talk about GST, now there are concept was that it would be one country, one law, one registration, but that had not happened. There was never a single registration concept, and single registration is not there. So you have to take registration in each and every state you are doing business. You have to take registration in each and every state where you are making outward supply. You have to take registration if you want to get input tax credit in each of the state you are giving or taking services. Because if you are not registered in a particular state, you are not able to get benefit of the input tax credit. And input tax credit is the soul, जिसे हम कहते हैं आत्मा of the GST. It revolves around input tax credit, GST, and you have to see that registration is the basic requirement to claim input tax credit. If you are not registered, you cannot claim input tax credit. With these words, I would say, what are the threshold limit? Now, threshold limit earlier was 20 lakhs and 10 lakhs, but that has been increased 20 lakhs, but that has been increased. Now for the goods, it is 40 lakhs. For the services, it is 20 lakhs, except certain north and eastern states where the reduced limits apply. It is a PAN-based registration. The basis for registration is the PAN number. And in a state, you can have multiple registration. The old saying, the old adage, the old marketing, one nation, one tax, one law, that is not there. There is no concept of centralized registration as was there in the earlier law, the service tax. If you are well versed with the service tax law, there was central registration, and with the one registration number you can act upon in all the states. Here, if you are registered in Rajasthan, you are, and if you had not taken registration in Mumbai or Maharashtra or Delhi or Telangana or Andhra Pradesh or Tamil Nadu, you are not registered there. Registration in one state does not mean that you are registered in another state. You have to take a separate registration number and you have to go for all compliances separately in that state. Now the question which very recently comes up to me is whether registration is compulsory or whether registration we can take voluntary. Friends, voluntary registration can be taken, but in certain cases there is a requirement. There is a requirement. And what is the requirement? That you have to take compulsory registration. What are those compulsory registration requirements? We would be talking about very shortly in the next slides. There is when everything is online, the registration application has to be moved online, the documents has to be submitted online. If there is a requirement of physical verification, earlier normally it was not there, except in exceptional cases there were physical verification. But what nowadays, because of the bogus bills, because of the bogus refund claims, because of the various issues which has cropped up and which are affecting the revenue of the government, it has been made mandatory that there should be Aadhaar based registration, and Aadhaar verification has to be taken in certain class of registration, that is for individuals and others. And if there is no Aadhaar based registration, then in certain cases on the discretion and all the algorithms or the artificial intelligence of the software, the physical verification will be there, and only after that the registration would be granted. So these are the snippets of the registration. Now, what are the rate of taxes? I think everybody is aware. I don't have to go through it. It is only shown only to see that there are the certain rate of tax. We were talking of one slab, one country, but it is not one rate. In the service tax era, we had one single rate for the service tax. But here we have slabs, almost like the earlier VAT or sales tax law. And then comes because once you are registered, once registration has been taken, you can claim the benefit of input tax credit. If you can claim the benefit of input tax credit, then there is a distribution. How the input tax credit would work, that is GST would be interstate or intra-state. In intra-state, IGST would be levied, and intra-state CGST, SGST would be levied. And then IGST, there is a usage of IGST to SGST or CGST, and similarly there. So we have to see those usage. We will be talking about those usage when we talk about input tax credit, maybe tomorrow or day after when the topic comes. This is the order of utilization of ITC. ITC, again, you say we are talking about topic of registration, but you are talking always of ITC. Friends, GST is nothing but ITC. There are proportionate theory, there is yes ITC, there is no ITC, there is blocked ITC, there is blocked refund. Everything revolves around ITC. So these charts I had given only for the reference purpose. We would be talking about the subject very shortly when we go to the next day presentations. But right now, there is the concept of invoice. In the interstate supply, we levy IGST. In the intra-state, we levy CGST, SGST. And with this, I comes to the registration main provisions, the legal provisions, which we will be talking about, and in which you all will be interested. This was only a precursor. This was only the introduction where we want to have the basic knowledge of GST and the basic concept of GST. So friends, with this, what are registration issues? We have to see the governing act, again CGST sections 22 to 30, rule 8 to 26, and there are registration forms. Registration, as already told to you, it is PAN based, one PAN. On the basis of the PAN allotted to you, whether you are an individual, partnership firm, LLP, company, or trust, charitable society, whatever, on the basis of the PAN, the registration can be granted to you, and on the basis of registration only, the working would start. So there is no centralized registration, as already told to you. The limits are 40 lakhs and 20 lakhs, and there. Now, the important terms. Have you ever thought when we are talking about 40 lakhs, what would be included in 40 lakhs? It is aggregate turnover. Aggregate turnover means all taxable supplies. But then there is a precaution, there is a caution, there is a the legislature and the bureaucrats who frame the law, who frame the definition, always put something to complicate the things. And those things are there to complicate is that they had included the exempt supplies also. Now, if you are dealing in taxable supply, if you are dealing in exempt supply and export of goods or services or both, even then your calculation for the 40 lakhs, that would be 40 lakhs is only for goods. If you are dealing with services, then the threshold limit would come to 20 lakhs. So exclusively in goods, except some minor exceptions, 40 lakh limit would also include the exempt supplies, except what is not allowed. So with this taxable person, now there is no concept of registered dealer. That is what I told you. There is no concept of purchase. There is no concept of sale. It is outward supply or inward supply, and there is a concept of registered person, registered or unregistered person. We are talking in the name of a person, not of a dealer. So with this, the definition means who is the registered person, who is registered or liable to be registered. That is what they say. Then again, the agriculturist. Do you know income tax is not levied on agriculture income? Maybe we all know it. And they are the, you can say, because Indian is an agriculture economy, they are the backbone, they are all things, they are working, and because of it, they are going through it. But even in GST, agriculturist is not required to register. He is not required to be a registered person, and there is a specific exemption. Then a casual taxable person, there is a separate registration for casual taxable person. But suppose you don't want to go for a normal registration, you don't want to go for a fixed registration, but you are sitting in Mumbai and you want to make an exhibition at Jaipur. You are sitting at Mumbai and you want to make an exhibition at Delhi. How would you do it? There is a concept of casual taxable person. We would be talking about that concept very shortly. But you can take a temporary registration, and on the basis of that temporary registration, you can always go move through it. Then non-resident taxable person or casual registration are almost one of the same thing. Place of business, it is very important because place of business decides the tax factor. Now the tax is consumption based. It is not origin based. So place of business sometimes becomes a very important role. Suppose you have branches all over India. You have offices all over India. You want to do trading. Are you required to register at every place, at every state in the country? Or you are required to register at Mumbai, and from there you can make IGST supplies to every state? Though you may be having godown warehouses in other states, though you may be having offices in other states, but can you make interstate supply directly from Mumbai, having one registration and not 30 or 35 registration throughout India? A point to ponder. I would come again to that point, and there the concept of place of business would become important. So this is a table where we talk about registration, the requirement and threshold. Where is the registration concept? Where is the requirement? And what are the threshold? So supplier of goods only. Mark the words here. Always a query comes to you, sir, hum goods mein kaam karte hain, can we have a registration and the turnover? We don't want to have a registration, and as there is a limit of 40 lakhs, we are doing some service, we are providing some service also. But 40 lakhs would include goods and services? No, it only includes supplier of goods only. Exception is there. What are the exception? Interest on deposit, loan and advances. Those are exceptions to this 40 lakhs. Otherwise, those are exception to this concept of only and only goods. But if you are not if you are doing other service, then in that circumstances, this 40 lakhs limit is not applicable. Otherwise, if you are supplier of both goods and services, 20 lakhs, only services, again 20 lakhs, Registered person is special category states. I think all of you know it is 10 lakhs. I am not there. Then there are reverse charge mechanism. Reverse charge mechanism, there is no limit. It is required for compulsory registration. You have to go for compulsory registration. Agar there is a requirement of tax deduction at source, input service provider, then again they are required under the law for compulsory registration, and there is no threshold limit applicable. So this is a chart you have to refer when you want to see whether you want to have a registration or not, or want to answer a query for the registration. Because if you want to answer the query for the registration, you have to go accordingly. Then two important things you have to understand, that is registration requirement on transfer of business. Where, at what time registration is required? The registration is required, either you can go for voluntary registration, or on the date of transfer or succession, there is a requirement of registration. It is better to go for a voluntary registration. If you go for a voluntary registration, all the threshold limits do not apply, and as and when you register yourself, you become liable to pay the tax. On case of merger or amalgamation, date of issue of certificate of incorporation, you are required there to have registration. Again, we always suggest go for a voluntary registration and don't wait for the last day or for the last hiccups. Persons not liable to registration, it is specifically mentioned, they are not liable. Exempt supplies exclusively. They must be doing exempt supplies, and that should be exclusive exempt supplies. Agriculturist, again I told you, and notified taxable person, the notifications are issued from time to time, and these are the notified taxable persons. I would not be taking much of your time here because there is long list to cover, but these are the notified persons which are not required to be registered, and there is a clear-cut bar on it. Compulsory registration. Now these are very interesting categories where you have to understand what are the type of dealers, what are the type of persons, because even now on my mouth also the word comes dealer, dealer and dealer. But you have to understand that there are certain persons where there is requirement that there should be a compulsory registration, and one is that a person making interstate supply. The second is casual taxable person. The casual taxable person, who comes for the registration, who comes for the exhibition, who comes for the trade fair, who comes to show the goods to certain persons, they are there. Reverse charge, who are required to pay tax under the reverse charge. 9(5), non-resident taxable persons already covered, and then input service distributor, and 51, that is tax collection at source. E-commerce operators and persons, ODAR services, e-commerce operators who are required for tax collection at source, and ODAR services. Then the suo motu registration. Now this is very important. Most of the time we forgot or we miss it. What is a suo motu registration? Can we say that it is suo motu means what? Whether it is the will of the officer that he will give the registration? The answer is yes. If you are caught in between, he gives you a temporary registration. If you are a transporter and if you don't disclose the identity of the consignor or consignee, he gives you a temporary registration. Wherever temporary registration is given by an officer, it is covered under the suo motu registration, and the proper officer is empowered to register a person. And the basic requirement is that he was required for registration, but he has not given registration. Now it is required that within 90 days you have to go for a final registration or the normal registration. But if you want to appeal again the grant of the temporary registration or the suo motu registration, as we say in the GST Act, you can file an appeal. If you win, well and good. But if you don't win, you lose the appeal, then within 30 days from the adjudication order or from 30 days of the final appeal order, you have to go for the normal registration and file the applications. So friends, I think I'm running fast, but we have to cover many topics in 7 days, and we have to cover many things in this scheduled time of 50 minutes. So multiple registrations in one state, can you have it? Earlier there were certain bars, there were concept of vertical registration, concept of two different nature of goods, but those all things have been done away with by the government. Now you can have multiple places in the one state. You can have multiple registration in one state on the same pen, but there are certain exceptions to it. What are the exceptions? If you cannot have one composition and one regular dealer registration, if you are going for composition, all are for composition or all for normal taxpayer, regular taxpayer. If you make a supplier within the multiple registration, that would be treated as a supply, and input and output would be leviable. All entities must be having the same pen. If one is not eligible for composition, then any of the entity would not be eligible for composition. So these are certain restrictions, and then the distinct person concept, because of it, has been incorporated. This distinct person concept has been incorporated only for this purpose, and you have to understand that the section, when it talks about the distinct person, it is a new, very new concept, and there is a requirement of registration, and that requirement of registration has to be obtained if he has taken an establishment in same state or the other state. Procedure for registration. I think everybody is aware of the procedure of registration. You have to file an application, register within specified time limits. If you are having one registration in the state and there is a sales registration, you have to go for a separate sales registration. Casual taxable person is not covered under it, and there are requirements of casual taxable person. Now, when we talk about the simple registration, normal registration, we know the threshold limits. But what about casual taxable person? I told you, there is always a question, sir, I want to go for a, because Diwali is coming. After the lull of 4 months COVID pandemic, the business activity would start. There would be trade fair, there would be mela, there would be private exhibitions. Persons would be carrying goods here and there. What to do? Can we take casual registration? I want to go to Delhi to participate in the international trade fair. 4 days. What to do? You have an option for casual taxable person, casual registration. The requirement is that you have to take it 5 days prior to the specified date, or on the date on which your exhibition, trade fair, or whatever it is, it will start. You cannot opt for composition scheme. There is a limitation that it is normally granted for a lower time, as you ask, say for 15 days, for 7 days. But normally it is granted for 90 days. So in the 90 days, you can have multiple of exhibition and you can continue with those working. But can it be extended? Yes, it can be extended. And that is where we go. It can be extended by next 90 days by the authorities. So for maximum of 180 days, you can have casual person registration. But if it exceeds 180 days, if your business, you say that I would be in Delhi for more than 180 days, friends, the option is that you go for a normal registration in that state, and that is the only option available. Amendment to RC, again 15 days you have the time. Within 15 days you have to file the documents, you have to file the applications online. Everything is online, there is nothing offline. Addition of place of business, there are certain categories which are automatic, there are certain categories which are not automatic. What are automatic? You have to see legal name of business, address of principal place of business. They cannot require cancellation of registration. They cannot require, they only require a modification of registration. And that can be done by filing an amendment application. But there are certain changes which require cancellation of registration, and we would be talking about it very here. Cancellation of registration, if there are certain categories. What are the categories? That is discontinuation of business or amalgamation, transfer, demerger, change in constitution, not liable for registration. Suppose your turnover goes below. Suppose in the last year your turnover was 1 crore. In the present year you foresee that your turnover would be only 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs. What to do? Go for cancellation of registration. You can go for cancellation. You can file the registration amendment application for cancellation, and if you do it, there is a certain procedure which is followed, and on the follow of that procedure you would be doing it. Then a very common question: what happens when there is a death of a proprietor? That is we have to see. That is we have to understand. That is we have to consider. We have to know that in case of death, the application for cancellation has to be filed in GSTR registration 16, and there is an option, death of proprietor. The transfer can be made. What I told you in the original thing, that in case of transfer, at the time of transfer, the registration, that is succession, the registration of the new form should be there in the name of the new person. So that is very important, and that is what you have to consider. That is what you have to see. These are again certain points of cancellation. You have to see in these type of dealers, in these cases, again a cancellation can be made by the authority. And when, what can be the reasons for cancellation? The first reason is contravention of the provisions, bogus bills case. That is the refund case, the non-payment of tax, failure to furnish return. You had voluntarily gone for registration, but you had not started the business. You can be issued a notice why you had not started the business. Or you have taken the registration with fraud documents, bogus documents, information which is not correct. Suppression of facts. These are the reasons where the proper officer can cancel your registration. But can it cancel directly, or he has to give you an opportunity of hearing? Yes, there is a requirement that he has to give you an opportunity of hearing, and without giving of opportunity of hearing, he cannot cancel your registration. So nowadays, Abhi, you have seen the latest amendments which has been given in the recent GST Council meeting, and they had proposed that all revocation of registration notice, all cancellation notices or proceedings till the 12th of July, you can go for filing of an application, and they before 30th of September, and they would be reconsidered, and accordingly a re-decision would be made by the proper officer. So that is very important. Many cases were there where the dealer has not filed the returns. Many cases were there where the person, registered person, has not paid the tax, and you come across many things. Can you tell me, can you think of it, if a person has not deposited tax for more than 3 months, what are the other consequences? He can be prosecuted. Proceedings under 132 can be done against him, because it is again an offense that if you had collected tax and retained it for more than 3 months, that is again an offense under 132. And if you cross the bar of 132, bailable or non-bailable offense, you can be even arrested for that offense. And there are many instances where this has happened. We will be talking about that in the later part of my cancellation. Revocation, again, for the revocation you can file an application if a cancellation has been made, maybe with your notice or without a notice. Now this is digital times. What we foresee, what we see always, that a notice has been issued on your SMS or on your mobile number or on your email or on the portal, and you have not seen it, you had missed it, you had not considered it. In that case also you can file the revocation application, and then on reasons shown by you, the authority may revoke the registration, may revoke the cancellation of registration. A common question which comes to me is, sir, when you are talking about online registration, can there be an offline registration also? Directly I would say no, but when I put the answer, there are certain things you can fill the application, you can put it to the proper officer, and you can upload it on the GST portal. So it is a mode of online mode, but not exactly online. So the answer is yes and no. You cannot go and just put up a offline application to the proper officer. That would not be accepted. But you can file a application in a different mode to online, and that can be considered as an offline application. Now this already I talked about you. Registration, the requirement is initial registration would be granted for 90 days or lesser period if you had applied for a lesser period. But can it be extended? Yes, it can be extended, again for 90 days only. So maximum period which is allowed for a casual registration is 180 days. Beyond 180 days, if you want a registration in a certain state, you can go for a normal registration, and there are no options. Now this proof of business, this proof of place of business is always always a problem. Whenever anybody is filing an application, the only complication which arises, which comes to a question, is proof of business. Sometimes the name in the electricity bill is not matching, water bill is not matching, the rent deed is not matching. There is requirement of commercial registration, commercial property. There is a requirement that in the rent deed it is not duly stamped. There is a rent deed is not notarized. Not rent deed is not court fees, non-judicial stamps are not there. There are hundreds of reasons when the objection comes. But one reason was the registration has to be taken in the new name, and the shop is on lease. That was in lease with say 40 years, 50 years. The Pagadi system was there. The old landlord is not willing to give you a receipt what to do. There has been a clarity by the government that certain documents like electricity bill or something can be filed, and a self-declaration can also be filed, and on the basis of that the registration would be there. A very common question which comes to you is, sir, can PAN number be changed? I have taken registration under GST. I have taken working, I am a registered person. Now I want to change the PAN number. No dear, the PAN number can never be changed because it is a PAN based registration. Why this question arises? Why this question arises? This question arises because not recently, but a year back or something, there were many duplicate PAN. A person was having 3 PAN. He was filing income tax return on 1 PAN and had taken the registration under GST on a different PAN, and he did not realize it. He did not realize. I had come across 4 queries like this. At the end of the year, when there was some requirement, his income tax consultant said these numbers are not matching, and then this problem came. So friends, this question, I think everybody knows the answer, but it is my duty. There are FAQs which say that if you are changing the partner, even then you have to take an approval from the proper officer. But in case of certain cases, like additional place of business, additional or deletion of director, karta, managing committee or other, maybe you may not take. The other thing is a very important thing. I would be coming to the next topic, but before that I would be discussing 2-3 points of registration. Friends, these registration thing is something which you have to understand. A person, I asked you a question in the start. I am importing some document, I am importing some goods, I am supplying it to 15 states. I have offices in 15 states. I have my sales force in 15 states. Do I require registration in all the states? I have a warehouse in 15 states. The answer is no. If you are making a IGST billing, you can have the billing directly from one place and you can make an IGST billing. There was another question. Sir, I am importing goods from outside India. The port is at Gujarat, Kandla port. And I am sitting in Mumbai. I would be supplying the goods to a dealer to a registered person in Gujarat only. Do I require a registration in Gujarat? Again, the answer is no. You can make an IGST billing and you don't require a registration in the state. So if you make an IGST billing, if you are a trader and you don't want to avail ITC for your offices or for other things in those respective states, you can make a billing directly for traded goods, directly from one office, levying IGST, because the receiving state do not lose tax because it is a consumption based tax. A contrary opinion came to me. Contrary opinion was, sir, I have 10 offices in 10 states. I am paying 1 lakh rupees as a rent. The landlord is charging GST on it. I am not registered in 9 states. I am registered in 1 state. What can be done? I am receiving manpower services there. I am receiving phone at that addresses. The GST, if you are not registered, ITC would not be available. It is as plain as simple. So you have to always calculate for the registration. The first thing is whether you want to claim ITC. Second thing is, if you don't want to have registration in multiple states, you can make IGST billing. But if you want to claim ITC for the offices, for the manpower, for the other benefits in that state, it is always beneficial to have registration. But if you go for separate registration in separate states, again, you have to file returns independently. You have to go for compliances independently, and it would be a separate registration concept for each state. So with this, now I come to the next topic, that is invoices, debit note and credit note. Section 31 to 34, Rule 46 to 55A. Key features, again, there is a requirement for a registered person to issue invoice or bill of supply. What are the requirements for invoice? That is already mentioned in Rule 46. What if the recipient is not registered? There are certain categories, there are certain restrictions that below 200 you are not required to issue, or if it is not a registered person, there is some exceptions. But if the invoice is not issued, again, that is the basic thing, the ITC comes into picture. If the invoice is not issued, the person who is purchasing the goods would not purchasing the goods or services, or the person who is receiving the goods or services would not be able to claim ITC. So we have to see what are the documents for supply. That is a tax invoice, that is a consolidated invoice, that is a bill of supply, revised invoice, and invoice cum bill of supply. But let us have a brief discussion. Tax invoice, we all know. A registered person, normal registered person, he has to issue a tax invoice, so that, and tax has to be separately charged. It has to be separately shown in the invoice so that input tax credit can be claimed. What is a consolidated invoice? A consolidated invoice is for the supplies received from the unregistered person by a registered person, and it can, if there is a requirement of 5,000 rupees. Bill of supply for compositions dealer or persons making exempt or non-taxable supplies, they are not required to issue a tax invoice, they are required to issue a bill of supply. Revised invoice. You have received some goods before the registration is taken by you, linked with registration. You had applied for registration, but your registration number is not there, but you had started the business. You had received some goods. If your registration number is not mentioned, you will not be able to claim input tax credit. And there the concept of revised invoice comes into picture. You can ask the supplier to revise the invoice and mention your registration number after the registration is granted to you, and on the basis of that you will be able to claim input tax credit. Input service distributor, he has to issue a special invoice, and then a new concept of e-invoice is coming. Now that is very important. I think most of you are aware of the e-invoice, and e-invoice is set to be implemented from 1st October 2020. I don't know whether it would be implemented from 1st October 2020, but there is a concept of B2B invoices, that is business to business invoices, which are to be electronically uploaded and authenticated by invoice registration portal. We say it IRP in abbreviated form. It is to be authenticated, and that e-invoice benefits would be there. It is for a turnover of more than 100 crores, if a dealer is having in the preceding financial year, that would be mandatory from 1st October 2020. It was to come from 1st January, but for one reason or the other, it has been delayed, and I don't know whether it would come from 1st October. There are issues, there are many things. There has to be generation of QR code, there has to be working for other things, but there is already a provision. What you have to do is, the question is whether it is applicable to B2B transactions only, or it is applicable for B2C transactions also. Now, B2B is business to business and B2C is business to consumer. E-invoicing would be applicable on B2B transactions only. And what are the benefits? Once e-invoice is adopted, started by a class of dealers, it would be auto-populated in the returns, it would be auto-populated in the e-way bills. The transactions would be there auto-populated in the e-way bill. Suppose you are making e-invoice, the e-way bill will be automatically generated, part A of the e-way bill, and part B you have to fill it yourself, manually or otherwise. So there are many benefits of the e-invoice. I am just talking briefly about it. So you can do it from your own accounting software. You have to get some utilities, but you can get it uploaded on the GST portal. There has to be a registration on invoice registration portal, and on the basis of the invoice registration portal, there would be a unique reference number, there would be a quick reference code, that is called QR code, but it would be required only for B2B export and sales supply only, and not for B2C. That is very important. There are certain benefits. There would be no requirement of digital signatures or the signatures, no duplicate or triplicate generation, and it would be automatically sent to the buyer and to the inward supplier and the outward supplier, both directly by email, by the invoice registration portal itself. Now, apart from the documents, that is the tax invoice or the bill of supply I talked about, there is a delivery challan concept also. Now, this delivery challan is applicable for certain categories, and this delivery challan is the most difficult thing, where the controversies arise. Friends, do you know, initially there was a concept of issuance of delivery challan. We were doing delivery challan in VAT and GST for a long time, but there was always a complication in delivery challan under the GST. But now, after certain things, by circulars and by other things, the government has clarified. So for certain categories, that is for transportation of liquid gas and other, you can always use delivery challan. Transportation of goods for job work. Now, can you visualize that if you are transporting the goods for job work, you have to issue a bill of supply? How can you do it? Therefore, the government came that no, you can transport the goods for job work for a certain period, and the goods have to return in a certain period. We would be talking about job work in the next schedule, and then only the supply would be there. Otherwise, you can transfer the goods. Otherwise, then way of supply, and then the goods sent for exhibition on consignment basis, etc. Even for export, you can take the goods on delivery challan. Now, what are the recitals of the delivery challan? Again, the conditions are almost the same. You have to be there. You have to make the delivery challan almost like a tax invoice. All the fields like tax invoice would be there, and it has to be issued in triplicate. The question also comes, sir, when we are using delivery challan, do we have to generate e-way bill? Yes. E-way bill has no linking with delivery challan or tax invoice or supply invoice. E-way bill has to be generated for the delivery challan, subject to the conditions of the e-way bill. You receive any payment, you can issue a receipt voucher. You refund anything, you can issue a refund voucher. These are certain. I think when we practice, when we discuss, we sometimes forget what are the basic recitals of the Act. So this course is basically to again, I can say, touch upon each and every point. So sometimes the query comes, sometimes you forget the basic things, and I try to link the section and the Act in between so that we can have a linking of the section and the Act and the provision, so we can see. Now payment voucher. The payment voucher, for what? In the RCM, it is the most important thing. You make a payment, but because that person is not liable for registration, he would give you a kacha bill or a pakka bill or any format of thing, that is thing, and you have to make a payment voucher. In that case, you can generate an invoice yourself, and you have to pay the tax and take the credit under RCM category. Credit and debit notes. Now that is the most important thing of this presentation. You have to understand that credit and debit notes are of two types. One is with GST implication, and second is without GST implication. You would say, Mr. Ghia, what you are talking? How can be a credit note without GST implication? Suppose you are a dealer of electronic goods. Abhi it is garmi ka time hai. Lot of ACs are being sold out. Now, the company gives you a certain discount, and as per section 15, there is a pre-discount agreement with you. The company gives you a certain discount in the invoice, but certain discounts are based on your volume, your turnover, or you can say your performance. On the basis of your performance, on the basis of the volume picked up during a month or during a quarter, or on your turnover, certain additional discounts are given. So always the question comes whether a debit note or credit note can be issued in those categories. Now there are cases where the debit note or credit note has not been issued in case of categories where turnover, incentive, bonus or discounts are given. That is a question where the financial credit debit note comes into picture, and there are a lot of controversies. First, let us discuss credit note. It is in section 31, and you have to understand that credit note can be given for certain categories. And what are the categories? If there is excess taxable value which has been in the note, credit note can be issued. It has to be shown in the month within 6 months from the end of the financial year. That is before in the return for the month of September from the end of the relevant financial year. Now there are 4 categories in section 31(1) where you can issue credit notes. But the time limit is there to file the credit note. What would be the impact of credit note? The impact of credit note would be that the value of supply would decrease. Value of supply would decrease, and you have to reverse, and the receiver has to reverse the credit. Now it would be done automatically when you enter into GSTR1. But when I would be talking about returns, you would be seeing that new returns, which are again supposed to come from 1st October. There is a separate annexure 1 for that, and they cover the debit and credit notes of B2C supply and B2B supplies. B2C supply, there is a problem because in the case of B2C supply, there cannot be a reversal of the tax. But in the B2B supply, there is always a reversal of tax. Now the question comes to you is, sir, there is a limitation for issuing the credit note, and it can be issued in a specified circumstance. Now if the limitation has expired, what would be the effect on the GST? You can issue the credit note. There would be a financial credit note. The GST would not be reversed, but then you will lose the GST credit. What to do then? So in that case, normally it is advisable that if the financial year has ended, the 6 months has ended, the September return has gone, then it is better, and thereafter some discrepancies because of the rate of tax or because of the excess value of supply or because of the quality issues or because of the rate difference or whatever, anything comes to your knowledge and a debit or credit note has to be issued, then it is better to go for an inward supply or outward supply so that you can get a credit out of it. Otherwise, it would always be a big problem. Reversal of ITC or loss of ITC, that should not be thing. There are a lot of cases which are coming for the credit notes. These electronic companies, there was a circular in the month of March 2019, and there was again a circular in the month of June 2019, and in October the June circular was cancelled or taken back. Question was the turnover discounts or the bonus or the incentive given, whether they are without the GST, whether they can be said to be discounts or whether they are a service provided by the distributor to the manufacturer. And why not tax at the rate of 18% should be levied on the distributor? Can you visualize it? Can you think about it? Can you think about that controversy? And notices has been issued for that. There are already complications for that, but that are something we have to understand, we have to see, we have to be very cautious about the verdicts in the debit and credit notes. What we are mentioning in the debit and credit notes, the wordings in the debit and credit note, that has to be analyzed, that has to be checked. It should be in the form of discount or the permitted sphere as mentioned in section 31. It cannot be beyond the permitted sphere or permitted parameters which has been allowed in 31(1) or 2. So we have to see. A question comes, sir, I had made supply, but the money is not coming. They are bad debts. Now what to do? Should I pay the GST or not? Whether on bad debts you can issue a credit note? The answer is no. You cannot issue a credit note on a bad debt. So you have to understand that. Similar is the case of debit notes. Supplementary invoice is also called a debit note. There can be a revision because of the less taxable value or tax rate, because there can be a difference in the tax rate. Debit, again, both are to be declared in GSTR1 at present, but in the new returns, and separate annexures are coming in the new returns, and they would have to be verified by the other party also. But at present, in the current return in GSTR1, you have to show it as a supplementary invoice. You can also issue it. Again, the restrictions should be considered, and those restrictions, the 6 months from the end of the financial year, the September bar, you have to take into consideration. And if you want to overcome that bar, you have to come out with an innovative strategy. You have to come out with a different strategy, and that strategy has to be on the basis of each and every reason, each and every issue. Continuous supply of goods. If you are making continuous supply of goods, the invoice can be issued when the statement of account or receipt of the payment, whichever is earlier. But in the case of continuous supply of services, there are certain conditions where you have to issue the invoice, and where in case of continuous supply of services, normally for services you have to issue the invoice within 30 days. So in case of supply of services, you have to issue the invoice within 30 days, but in case of continuous supply of services, the issue can be segregated. And how can it can be segregated? It has been mentioned in the chart that when there is a due date of payment is determinable from the contract, on or before the due date of payment. If the payment is not determinable from the contract, before or at the time when supplier of services receive the payment, and so on and so on. Now, goods on approval basis. I'm sorry, I am running fast because already 50 minutes are there, and I would be coming in another covering the topic in another 5 minutes. Goods on approval basis, there is a limitation. Again, those limitation has to be 6 months limitation. Other limitations you have to see. If you had given some goods on approval basis, whether you would be issuing a tax invoice or a delivery challan, the answer is always the delivery challan, because it cannot be on approval basis if a delivery challan is not issued. So delivery challan, on the basis of it you have to send the goods. And if you are sending the goods outside India, participating in an exhibition or a fair or for a personal exhibition, then you can always send, and it would be neither supply nor export. So you have to take care, it is neither a supply nor an export. And if it is neither a supply nor an export, then it has to come within the specified period, that is 6 months. If not, there is again a issue, and it would be treated as supply at that time. Supply of services, you have to see, there are again certain categories where you have to see the issuance of the invoice. Normally, what I told you, 30 days from the providing of the services, you have to issue the invoice. But there are certain services where document other than invoice can be considered as a valid invoice. And what are those services? GTA service, passenger transport ticket, and the movie. Movie hall, you go and get a ticket. Can you say that you have to get an invoice? No. The movie ticket is itself an invoice, and that has to be sent. So again, coming to the invoice for services, 30 days limitation is there, but for other banking company or NBFC, 45 days or other thing. Normally we are not covered, not concerned with the banking company or a NBFC or a telecom operator. So we are talking about 30 days. That is the threshold limit which we have to consider. Manner of issuance. The question comes, sir, you have talked about everything. You have talked about invoice, you have talked about time limits, you have talked about payments. But what is the manner of issuance? The manner of issuance is that for the goods or services, there should be a consecutive serial number. It should not be exceeding 16 characters, one or more multiple series, and alphanumeric, and it should be unique for a financial year. It has to be mentioned in GSTR1. That is a very, very mandatory requirement. I would not be talking about GSTN. You have to fill the detail of recipient. In the case of registered recipient, if you don't mention the GSTN number, he will not get the credit. If you don't mention the GSTN number, it is mandatory that you mention his GSTN number, and that is where the question comes. Now, it is a basic intra-state or inter-state supply. What tax has to be charged? I think I have already discussed it. I would not be talking much about it. In this question, X an unregistered person has supplied goods to Y registered person who will issue an invoice. In that case, Y shall also issue a payment voucher at the time of making of payment to X, and he is receiving registration, and that is where the question comes. In case of a composition dealer, there is no requirement of charging of tax separately in the bill, and therefore no CGST, SGST or IGST would be applicable. In the case of goods sent for exhibition abroad, I think we have discussed it in detail. In that case, it would not be considered as a supply or export. It would be on delivery challan, and they are brought within a period of 6 months. Those are the 4 conditions you have to take into consideration. If they are not brought within 6 months, then it would be considered as a interstate supply. You know, exports are considered as an interstate supply. IGST is leviable except for the LUT or bond. So with this, I would be coming to the last topic, records. I think records are to be maintained. Records are something which we all understand. Everything, section 35 says how the records are to be maintained, and there is a list of documents which are to be maintained. Sometimes in the normal case we forget it, but these are the requirement. These are the things: production, manufacture of goods, inward and outward, stock of goods in ITC, output tax payable, and so on and so on. Now, for a manufacturer, he has to maintain this monthly production account showing quantitative detail. I don't know how many manufacturers can maintain it. That is $1 million question. But for a service provider, he has to maintain a quantitative detail. And in case of transportation, he has to maintain a record of consignor and consignee. And friends, I know I had exceeded the time. I tried to run very fast. I was given 50 minutes by the organizer, but let's see, it's the first day. I had taken more of a time, and it was a preliminary topic. Tomorrow we will be talking about much more: input tax, credit and exports and imports. It would be a great topic tomorrow. And now with this, I think I am ending my presentation, and then I would be open for the question and answer session. It is indeed a pleasure for me, friends, that you had joined me. You had been there for this 7-day series. It would be very important for me to receive your inputs. And with this, I would be now handing over the mic to the moderator for the question and answer sessions.
Thank you, Pankaj sir. It was indeed a very informational and detailed presentation. Although being the first day, we had to cover a lot of topics, but from tomorrow onwards, we will be covering at the right pace. So thank you all for joining, and now we are open for questions. So if you have...
there are, Prashantji, there are some hands raised. What I can do is I can directly take the question calling upon the name.
Sure.
If you allow me.
Sure, sir.
So I would be taking with the hands raised, and I would be going on with this. Mr. Sunil Talreja. Mr. Sunil Talreja. Sunil Mangla. सुनील मंगला.
नमस्कार सर, सुनील मंगला दिस साइड.
हाँ सुनील जी बोलिए.
जी बहुत बढ़िया सेशन था. सबसे पहले तो मैं आपको बधाई देता हूं सर.
धन्यवाद सर.
आपने इतनी फास्ट बॉलिंग में भी हमने आपको कैच किया, बहुत बढ़िया लगा. सर एक दो चीजें थी. एक तो जैसे कोई डेथ हो पे प्रोप्राइटर के केस में आपने बोला कि भाई उसका हम ITC 2 भर के उसका ITC ट्रांसफर हो जाएगा न्यू प्रोप्राइटर के केस में. तो क्या अगर सर ITC नहीं है उसका, तब भी हमें ITC 2 भरना पड़ेगा?
नहीं, ITC नहीं है तो आपको कोई रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है.
केवल हमको वो फॉर्म पार्टनर प्रोप्राइटर चेंज का भरना है बस केवल.
बिल्कुल, सक्सेशन का फॉर्म भरना है, ट्रांसफर ऑफ बिजनेस हो जाएगा.
और दूसरा सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन और था कि जैसे अगर कोई हमने बिल रेज किया मार्च के महीने में और उसका हमने ई-वे बिल भी निकाल दिया, लेकिन वो माल नहीं जा पाया और उसके बाद वो लॉकडाउन हो गया, माल रुक गया और आज की डेट में वो माल जा नहीं सकता. नहीं तो हमने बिल कैंसिल किया है, ना ही हमने ई-वे बिल कैंसिल किया है. तो उसका हम क्या कर सकते हैं सर आज की डेट में?
ई-वे बिल की वैलिडिटी सरकार द्वारा बढ़ा दी गई है 30 जून तक. एंड व्हाट यू कैन डू इज यू कैन, इफ यू वांट टू, यू डोंट, आपको माल भेजना नहीं है अभी उसको.
अब नहीं भेजना सर वो वाला.
आपको भेजना नहीं है माल, तो आप उसमें या तो इनवॉइस कैंसिलेशन कर सकते हैं या उसको क्रेडिट नोट से रिवर्स कर सकते हैं.
हाँ, इनवॉइस कैंसिलेशन ज्यादा बेटर है सर, क्योंकि ई-वे बिल बन चुका है तो डिपार्टमेंट नोटिस भेज देगा आपको सीधा ही.
तो इनवॉइस कैंसिलेशन कर दें आप. तो
इनवॉइस कैंसिलेशन में सर डिपार्टमेंट नोटिस नहीं भेज देगा हमें?
नोटिस भेज देगा, बट आप ईमेल एक्सचेंज कर लें अपने बायर से कि बिकॉज ऑफ दिस कोविड पेंडेमिक आपका ट्रांजिट नहीं हुआ और इस वजह से हम कैंसिलेशन कर रहे हैं. जुरिस्डिक्शनल ऑफिसर को आप ईमेल डाल दें, प्रॉपर ऑफिसर को, और उसके बेसिस पे आप ये मूव कर लें. दिस इज द ओनली ऑप्शन. दीज आर एक्सेप्शनल सर्कमस्टेंसेस.
ठीक है, थैंक यू सर. एक छोटी सी करेक्शन और थी. हाँ. आपकी जो स्लाइड नंबर 60 और 61 है ना सर?
हाँ जी.
उसमें सर आपने वो 31(1) सेक्शन डाला हुआ है, सेक्शन 31(1) और 31(2), जबकि वो डेबिट नोट क्रेडिट नोट का नहीं है, वो इनवाइस का है. सर इनवाइस कैसे बनाएंगे हम? इनवाइस का पीरियड
हो सकता है मेरे से गलती हो गई हो, बट थैंक यू फॉर पॉइंटिंग आउट. मैं चेक करके और आपको वापस करूंगा.
मैं सर क्षमा चाहता हूँ गलती की.
अरे नहीं, इट इज इंडीड अ प्लेजर फॉर मी एंड फ्रेंड्स. दिस इज द बेनिफिट ऑफ दिस. रुपेश गुप्ता.
हेलो सर, नमस्कार.
हाँ बोलिए रुपेश
सर. एक प्रोप्राइटर डेथ के केस में न्यू रजिस्ट्रेशन अपन ने लगाया एज अ डेथ ऑफ प्रोप्राइटर सिलेक्ट करके रीजन में. तो सर उसमें दो ऑप्शन आते हैं, दो और रिक्वायरमेंट रहती हैं. एक तो आता है डेट ऑफ कमिटमेंट ऑफ बिजनेस और सेकंड आता है डेट ऑन विच लायबिलिटी टू रजिस्ट्रेशन अराइजेज.
हाँ
तो सर ये जो डेट है, जैसे डेथ हुई अप्रैल में, जैसे
हाँ।
14 अप्रैल को हुई, तो क्या
हाँ।
यहाँ पर 15 अप्रैल आएगी इन
नहीं,
दोनों?
इट इज बेटर कि आप 14th ही डालें, क्योंकि ऑन द डेट ऑफ डेथ थी
हम्म,
उसकी लीगल सेंटिटी खत्म हो जाती है, तो
जी
15th नहीं, इट इज बेटर टू गो फॉर 14th।
ओके सर, थैंक यू।
मिस्टर कपिल साहू।
सर गुड इवनिंग।
हाँ सर।
सर ये जो आपने ई इनवॉइस बोला हुआ था, ई
यस,
इनवॉइस की कोई मिनिमम लिमिट अभी लेटेस्ट कुछ हुआ है
100
क्या?
करोड़ 100 करोड़ है, बट अभी 1 अक्टूबर 2020 से है, बट इट कैन बी एक्सटेंडेड फर्दर। आई थिंक इट वुड कम फ्रॉम 1 अप्रैल 2021।
ओके, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
मिस्टर चीनू अग्रवाल। मिस्टर चीनू अग्रवाल। हाँ बोलिए। आपको तेज बोलना पड़ेगा, मेरे को आवाज नहीं आ रही है। चीनू जी, आई एम सॉरी, आई एम नॉट एबल टू हियर योर वॉइस। हिमांशु सिंगल। हाँ बोलिए, हिमांशु सिंगल को बोलो। चीनू जी, आई वुड कम बैक टू यू। व्हाट आप अपना क्वेश्चन उजू के नंबर पे व्हाट्सएप कर दें प्लीज। हिमांशु जी। यस
जी सर, नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार
सर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका, आप हमें एजुकेट कर रहे हैं, बहुत बहुत हमारे जो लेवल है उसका बढ़ा रहे हैं हमारी पढ़ाई का, उसके लिए आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। एक सर क्वेश्चन था, एक कंपोजिशन डीलर है तो
हाँ।
उसकी रेगुलर जो रिटर्न्स हैं वो जमा थी, लेकिन फिर भी डिपार्टमेंट ने वो कैंसिल कर दिया पहले तो।
हाँ।
अच्छा, उसके बाद मैंने उसका रिवोकेशन किया था तो उन्होंने रिवोकेशन भी कैंसिल कर दिया। अब क्या किया जा सकता है उसमें सर?
उसके खिलाफ दो आपके पास ऑप्शन है, या तो आप अपील फाइल करें या रिट पिटीशन फाइल करें।
अपील या रिट? ठीक है,
हाँ, दो ही ऑप्शन है आपके पास।
थैंक यू।
अविनाश केडिया। खोलना मेरे से खोल नहीं रहा है। अविनाश केडिया।
हाँ भैया, गुड
हाँ
इवनिंग भैया।
गुड इवनिंग
भैया बात ये है, अभी डिपार्टमेंट नोटिस इशू कर रहा है इंटरेस्ट चार्ज करने के लिए। जीएसटी काउंसिल मीटिंग होने के बावजूद भी डिपार्टमेंट इशू कर रहा है, बोला हमारे पास कोई नोटिफिकेशन नहीं है, दे आर चार्जिंग इंटरेस्ट ऑन द आईटीसी अमाउंट।
हाँ जी।
और मेरे पास नोटिस आ रखी है अभी, 7 लाख 8 लाख रुपए इंटरेस्ट चार्ज कर रखे हैं।
नेट आईटीसी की बात कर रहे हैं आप?
हाँ, वो जो
बिल्कुल मैं समझ गया।
फाइलिंग,
लेट फाइलिंग
जो, हाँ, वो जीएसटी नोटिफिकेशन काउंसिल मीटिंग का भी बोला है, हमारे पास नोटिफिकेशन नहीं है, हम लोग
हाँ, तो उसमें दो ऑप्शन है। अगर बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर है तो हाईकोर्ट में रिट लगाकर आपको स्टे लेना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि डिपार्टमेंट में कोई भी रिप्लाई दे रहे हैं तो वो मानने को अभी तैयार नहीं है
जी। हाँ, वो
सुदर्शन,
बोला हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते।
हाँ जी, मिस्टर सुदर्शन जी। मिस्टर सुदर्शन जी। मिस्टर अतुल कक्कड़।
Sir, my question is about casual taxable person.
यस
सर, उनको उसी तरह से आईटीसी मिलेगा जैसे रेगुलर डीलर की तरफ से आईटीसी क्लेम करेंगे, अपने सेल्स के इनपुट क्लेम करेंगे?
बिल्कुल। अपार्ट फ्रॉम कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन, एक टाइम बाउंड रजिस्ट्रेशन, वो उनकी बाकी वर्किंग सब सेम है।
जी सर, थैंक यू सर।
मिस्टर हितेश अरोरा।
हेलो।
हाँ जी हितेश जी।
हाँ सर, एक्चुअली क्वेरी थी कि यदि हम एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ इनवॉइस पे एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस पे अपन क्या इनवॉइस में टैक्स का अमाउंट लिखेंगे विद पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स हो तो?
देखिए, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा आप अमाउंट लिखें कि नहीं लिखे, इनपुट क्रेडिट की अवेलेबिलिटी नहीं है वहां पे तो, क्योंकि आप एक्सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं वो तो।
क्योंकि सर यदि एक्सपोर्ट करते वक्त टैक्स का अमाउंट लिख देंगे तो सामने वाली पार्टी के पास पूरा बिल जाएगा, टैक्स वो पे करेगा नहीं।
हाँ, तो कोई रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है एक्सपोर्ट इनवॉइस पे टैक्स को सेपरेटली मेंशन करने की।
अच्छा जी, थैंक यू सर।
मिस्टर केशव।
गुड इवनिंग
केशव
सर।
सुडानी।
गुड इवनिंग सर।
हाँ जी, गुड इवनिंग।
सर डिक्लेयर्ड गुड्स में क्या क्या कवर होता है?
किसमें?
डिक्लेयर्ड गुड्स।
डिक्लेयर्ड गुड्स का तो कॉन्सेप्ट चला गया, पहले सीएसटी में होता था डिक्लेयर्ड गुड्स का कॉन्सेप्ट। अब कोई भी गुड्स डिक्लेयर्ड गुड्स नहीं है।
अच्छा अच्छा, ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर।
हाँ, मिस्टर रामचंद्र यादव। रामचंद्र जी। मिस्टर आर शर्मा।
सर नमस्कार।
नमस्कार साहब, यादव साहब।
हेलो।
हाँ साहब, बोलिए सर।
सर नमस्कार, मेरा क्वेश्चन आया है, यदि गुड्स सेंड फॉर फ्री सैंपल करेंगे और उसकी वैल्यू यदि 50,000 से ज्यादा है तो ईवे बिल और बिल कैसे बनेगा?
नहीं, फ्री सैंपल करके जीरो कमर्शियल वैल्यू करके आप ईवे बिल बना सकते हैं, लेकिन आपको एक तो आईटीसी भी रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा उसको।
ठीक है सर, जीरो इनवॉइस का जाएगा इनवॉइस?
हाँ, क्योंकि फ्री है तो जीरो का इनवॉइस जाएगा।
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू।
हाँ, मिस्टर आर शर्मा। हाँ सर, बोलिए।
हाँ नमस्कार सर।
हाँ
सर, मेरा सवाल ये है कि एक इंडिविजुअल ने एक नर्सिंग होम खोल स्टार्ट किया है और उसी प्रेमिसेस में उसने एक मेडिसिन शॉप भी खोला।
हाँ।
और उस मेडिसिन शॉप के नाम पर उसने एक जीएसटी नंबर भी ले लिया।
हाँ।
तो सवाल ये है कि क्या उसके सर्टिफिकेट में ट्रेड नेम क्या होना चाहिए और हॉस्पिटल का जो नाम है क्या वो एडिशनल बिजनेस में आएगा?
देखिए, सब कुछ डिपेंड करता है आपके पैन पर।
हाँ जी, वो सर वो इंडिविजुअल पैन है वो।
अगर इंडिविजुअल पैन है तो हॉस्पिटल में लिया है तो हॉस्पिटल से रेंट डीड बनेगी या लीज डीड बनेगी, तो उसमें हॉस्पिटल का नाम एड्रेस में आना चाहे तो आ सकता है, बट अदरवाइज नहीं आएगा तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा।
तो सर जब भी वो 3B फाइल होगी तो सर टर्नओवर तो हॉस्पिटल का हम एग्जाम्पटर में लेंगे ही?
नहीं, हॉस्पिटल भी उसी इंडिविजुअल पैन में है क्या?
हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी।
हाँ, तो फिर तो आपका जो वो एग्जाम सप्लाई रहेगी हॉस्पिटल की।
और वो ट्रेड नेम में वो मेडिसिन शॉप का ही नाम आएगा?
हाँ, ट्रेड नेम में मेडिसिन शॉप का नाम आएगा, लेकिन उसमें एक बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत आएगी आपको, और वो दिक्कत आएगी, आपका थोड़ा मोबाइल दूर रखें प्लीज। वो दिक्कत आएगी प्रोपोर्शनेट इनपुट क्रेडिट की, तो आपको उस चीज का ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा। सैयद आजम, मिस्टर सैयद आजम। हाँ सर, गुड इवनिंग सर, बोलिए।
वेरी गुड स्पीच सर, थैंक यू सर।
नहीं, इट्स अ प्लेजर सर।
अच्छा सर, मेरे दो डाउट्स है। फर्स्ट डाउट मेरा ये है कि मेरे क्लाइंट है जिनका लास्ट टाइम पे कोई और जीएसटी फाइल कर रहे थे, तो क्या था उनका 50,000 एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर 50,000 उनका सेल हुआ था 1 मंथ का, तो उन्होंने रॉन्गली क्या कर दिए थे, 50,000 रुपये इनपुट भी डाल दिए, जितना वैल्यू था उतना इनपुट भी डाल दिए। वो है सर एक्चुअल जो है अक्टूबर 2019 का। अभी वो रिसेंटली मेरे पास आए कि इसका प्रॉब्लम हो गया बोल, तो सर इसका सोल्यूशन अभी फाइनेंशियल ईयर में कर सकते हैं सर, क्या उसको छोड़ देना पड़ेगा?
अगर आपने एनुअल रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करी है तो आप सारे करेक्शंस कर सकते हैं, और जीएसटीआर 1 में उसको रिवर्स कर दीजिए, और 3B में करेक्शन नहीं हो सकता, लेकिन आपकी जो एनुअल रिटर्न जाएगी उसमें नोट्स डाल सकते हो।
ओके, तो सर वो इनपुट रिटर्न ले सकते हैं और वापस इनपुट छोड़ देना पड़ेगा?
नहीं, इनपुट अभी आप क्लेम कर सकते हो, क्योंकि कौन से साल की बात कर रहे हो आप?
सर ये फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2021 का ही है सर।
हाँ, तो वो तो कर सकते हो। आपको इनपुट का जो बाहर आता है वो सेक्शन 16(4) में आता है, 6 months रिटर्न ऑफ 6 months आफ्टर द क्लोज ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल ईयर।
अच्छा,
हाँ,
उसी में करेक्शन कर लेना सर।
बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं। मिस्टर दिनेश नेगी। Mr. Dinesh Negi.
Sir, namaskar.
Yes. See, I am answering certain questions in Hindi because the question is being put up by me in Hindi. Normally, I am taking questions in English only. There are certain chats in the chat box, that is why I am trying. हाँ, Mr. Negi.
सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो स्मॉल डीलर हैं सर, जो एग्जाम सप्लाई कर रहे हैं सिर्फ और सिर्फ, जैसे फूल वाले, फ्लोरिस्ट जो होते हैं, ये कंपोजिशन स्कीम ले सकते हैं कि इन्हें रेगुलर में आना पड़ेगा?
नहीं, अगर if they are doing exam supply, there is no requirement of registration.
फिर भी कहीं मांग लेते हैं कोई,
तो voluntary registration you can go. and if you want to go for voluntary registration, you can go, but आप composition scheme में भी जा सकते हो, but even exempt supplies उसमें consider हो जाएंगी.
तो सर इसमें लिखते हैं ना ये a person engaged in supply of non taxable goods, ये किस चीज का है सर?
नॉन टैक्सेबल गुड्स होते हैं जो पेट्रोल है, डीजल है, एविएशन टर्बाइन फ्यूल है,
तो ले सकते हैं सर इसको.
हाँ, नॉन टैक्सेबल गुड्स तो वो होते हैं जो एविएशन टर्बाइन फ्यूल, डीजल और वो होते हैं. मिस्टर सुनील गोयल, मिस्टर सुनील गोयल.
नमस्कार सर.
हाँ जी सर, ये सुनील गोयल खोलना.
सुनील आप जांच कर रहे हैं?
है सर, वापस से बोलेंगे प्लीज.
अगर कंपनी आईजीएसटी चार्ज कर रही है तो वेयर हाउस में एक ही रजिस्ट्रेशन से काम हो सकता है आपका.
हाँ बिल्कुल.
अब मेरा इसमें क्वेश्चन ये है कि मैंने यहाँ से मारुति को सप्लाई करना है माल.
यस.
मारुति को यहाँ से माल भेजा आईजीएसटी का बिल बना के, पर आज की डेट में मारुति वगैरह जो बड़ी कंपनीज है जस्ट इन का स्टॉक रखते नहीं है वो लोग. वो ट्रांसपोर्टर से 20-20, 25-25 दिन, एक महीने बाद डिलीवरी माल को उठाते हैं.
ओके.
तो हाउ वी कैन मैनेज? ईवी बिल एक्सपायर हो जाता है तब तक.
नहीं, वो तो यू विल हैव टू मैनेज इट विद योर वेंडर और यू विल हैव टू हैव अ अंडरस्टैंडिंग विद योर कस्टमर.
फिर वेयर हाउस के अंदर आईजीएसटी लगा के मैं आईजीएसटी से बिलिंग कर रहा हूँ तो मैं मुझे रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना पड़ जाएगा वहां. अगर ट्रांसपोर्ट
अगर आप वेयर हाउस लगा के कर रहे हैं, मैं आपको एक एडवांस रूलिंग भेजूंगा जिसमें उन्होंने इसी पॉइंट को डिस्कस करते हुए और they had told that if you are sending the bill on IGST basis and the warehouse is exclusively for one dealer, तो आप उसके इसमें IGST बिलिंग कर सकते हैं.
सर प्लीज आप मुझे भेज दीजिएगा.
मैं आपको, आप मेरे को टेक्स्ट कर दे आपका ईमेल आईडी और मैं कर दूंगा. एंड गुड टू सी योर फेस सर.
थैंक यू. एक क्वेश्चन और सर, अगर मैं एग्जेम्प्टेड सप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, सारी एग्जेम्प्टेड सप्लाई है, मुझे टैक्स, मुझे रजिस्ट्रेशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है, पर मेरी आरसीएम में कुछ लायबिलिटी आती है सेक्शन 23-24 के अंदर है, तो क्या?
then you are required, compulsory registration is required.
Thank you.
Mr. Hitesh, Mr. Rajesh Kumar Agarwal, Rajesh Kumar Agarwal.
गुड इवनिंग सर.
हाँ जी सर.
मेरा ऐसा एक क्वेश्चन है कि हम झारखंड में रजिस्टर्ड है और एक तो एग्जीबिशन लगाना चाहते हैं दिल्ली में. तो क्या मेरे को यहाँ से जो चालान से काटेंगे माल की इनवॉइस वेट करें, वहाँ कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना पड़ेगा क्या?
नहीं, कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन से आप अगर एग्जीबिशन लगाना चाहते हैं तो कर सकते हैं. कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन करना पड़ेगा और कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन के बेसिस पे आप ईवे बिल जनरेट करके और माल कर सकते हैं.
अच्छा, वहां से जो इनवॉइस करेंगे वो इनवॉइस करेंगे कि ऐसे सेल काट के आ जाएंगे? वहां से इनवॉइस करेंगे जमशेदपुर झारखंड से?
नहीं, आपको दिल्ली से ही इनवॉइस काटना पड़ेगा कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर पर.
अच्छा, वो स्टॉक मेरा आउट हो जाएगा.
हाँ,
झारखंड से.
हाँ,
तो झारखंड से हम इनवॉइस इशू करें कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए?
नहीं, झारखंड से इनवॉइस इशू करें कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए और कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन का माल जाएगा आपका वहां पर दिल्ली नंबर पे आपका डिलीवरी चालान से माल जाएगा. या आप उसको आउटवर्ड सप्लाई भी दिखा सकते हैं ईवे बिल जारी करके, जिससे आपको आईजीएसटी वहां क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा और उसके बेसिस पे वहां पे आप सप्लाई कर दीजिए और जो माल बचा हुआ है उसका रिटर्न कर दीजिए और उसका वापस आईजीएसटी इनवॉइस कर दीजिए.
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
एक बात ध्यान रखिएगा, इसमें नेट ऑफ मत कीजिएगा. बहुत सारे लोग हमारे गलती करते हैं. मैं एक एग्जांपल देता हूं, सबको आपको ध्यान में से सुनना है. व्हाट पीपल आर डूइंग अ मिस्टेक इज दैट they transferred the goods of say 1 lakh rupees and received back the goods of 1 lakh rupees, and because the input and output was the same, then net off the figure in the tax. That should not be done. That is a penal offense. You have to understand that.
सेपरेटली चार्ज करना होगा टैक्स को
सेपरेटली. मिस्टर श्रीधरा पार्थसारथी.
नमस्ते भैया.
नमस्कार पार्थसारथी जी.
सर मेरा ये बहुत छोटा क्वेश्चन है सर. सर अभी हेलो.
यस बोलिए.
चालान से भेज दिया माल, वहां से जितना भी सेल हुआ ना, डिलीवरी चलान से सेल किया।
नहीं, बंद कर देना वॉइस। पार्था सारथी जी बोलिए।
सर अग्रगेट टर्नओवर के हिसाब से
यस,
अगर हमारा अभी बिजनेस चालू है, रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं लिया हुआ है,
यस,
अभी मैं रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए अप्लाई करता हूं, तो अग्रगेट टर्नओवर पहले से मिलेगा, आज से क्या पकड़ेगा उसको, और इसको जीएसटी टैक्सेबल टर्नओवर क्या होगा?
एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर जो भी जिस तारीख से आपने रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए व्हेन यू हैड अप्लाइड, and that would be your aggregate turnover. Aggregate turnover would be calculated for the complete year. Suppose you had started the business on 1st April 2020 and you had applied now for registration. Your aggregate turnover would be taken from 1st April 2020, but for the purpose of taxability, for that limited period, only that period would be considered, because prior to it you would be considered as an unregistered person.
Then we have to keep two accounts, no? Because we have to make
the account would be the same, but you will have to have a cut-off date.
Then once we take the registration, revised bill can be issued
only for the period when your registration application is filed and the registration is granted. Suppose you file a registration application today, and registration is granted after 10 days.
Yes, sir.
Only for that period revised bill can be issued.
But whether this is also applicable for a buyer also, the recipient? Because once he applies for the registration, he has booked an order, and in the meantime, while he gets the registration, the material will come. Whether he has to go by the excise of ITC on the closing stock,
it would have the same effect. It would have the same effect with you and the buyer.
Even with the buyer.
Yes.
But the 2-year reflection will not come, no, because
no 2-year reflection would come because of the revised invoice, and that is why this provision has been there.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would be taking where I am. Mr. Sunil Talreja.
नमस्ते सर।
हाँ सर।
हाँ सर, मेरे क्लाइंट के केस में प्रोपराइटर का डेथ हुआ है 24 अप्रैल को, और उसकी वाइफ ने उसका बिजनेस कंटिन्यू किया है अंडर सक्सेशन में। वहां पर हमने 12 जून 2020 को अप्लाई किया है। तो उस केस में मेरे दो क्वेश्चन है। पहले
आपकी वॉइस क्रैक हो रही है। Your voice is cracking actually.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, date of the proprietor on 24th April 2020, and the wife of the proprietor continued the business, and she has applied for the registration under death of the proprietor succession option on 12th of June 2020. So what will be the consequence of of any kind of penal nature in case of transferee? And secondly, whether ITC will be available in case of transferee on the stock which is left in the of the deceased proprietor?
No. That is a big default, because you had violated the provision. Section 122 penalty consequences would be applicable. And secondly, ITC available. There would be a denial of ITC because you had not filed the application within the specified time. What you can do is you can file the application with a condonation of delay application and try to get it. If there is objection or denial, then you have to go either by way of appeal or by way of a writ petition.
Okay, registration is granted. For ITC, we have to file a condonation application.
So for ITC, you have to file an application. If it is granted, you can mention that she was a lady, illiterate or something, or whatever the reasons, you can make it out and then file it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mr. Abhinav Kumar, I think I would be taking last two queries, and we will keep the other queries for the last day, because we are already 6:30 and we have to close it. Mr.
Good evening,
Abhinav,
sir.
yes.
Good
Abhinav
evening, sir.
Good evening, good evening. बढ़िया, आप बताइए, how are you?
एकदम बढ़िया सर, एकदम बढ़िया। सर मैं कह रहा था आपसे कि एक एग्जाम आइटम है हमारा राखी का।
Yes.
राखी के एग्जाम्प्ट आइटम में अभी हमको फ्लिपकार्ट से कुछ ऑर्डर मिले हुए हैं।
यस।
वो अपने ईवे बिल में HSN नंबर मांग रहे हैं।
हाँ।
HSN नंबर क्या दें सर राखी के केस में?
सर HSN नंबर देखिए, ये चीज मैं हैंड्स ऑफ नहीं बता सकता, बट आप क्या है मेरे नंबर पे व्हाट्सएप डालें, मैं आपको HSN कोड उसका निकाल के भिजवा दूंगा, क्योंकि HSN कोड याद रखना इट इज नेक्स्ट टू इम्पॉसिबल।
ठीक है सर। एक
मिस्टर रोहित कुमार,
सर कोविड से रिलेटेड क्वेरी और एक।
हाँ।
ये क्वेरी ये है कि सर मेरा 2020 से कंटिन्यूस जो बिल चल रहा है, मैं नई बिल स्टेशनरी प्रिंट करा नहीं पाया।
हाँ।
मैं उसी बिल नंबर को कंटिन्यू कर सकता हूँ नेक्स्ट ईयर में?
आप यूनिक नंबर करके कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं।
उसको यूनिक नंबर कैसे करें सर? बिल बुक्स ऑलरेडी छपी हुई है।
नहीं, वो यूनिक हो गया ना, पिछले साल में वो नंबर नहीं था, तो यू कैन कंटिन्यू।
थैंक यू सर।
मिस्टर रोहित कुमार, Mr. M.K. Narayan Swami. M.K. Narayan.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Sir, my query is a composition dealer getting supplies from an unregistered person.
Yes.
Is he liable to pay RCM as per section 9(4) and 5(4)?
See, it is again a $1 million question, and
Yes,
you
sir.
had pointed out a very good question. Now
Yes, sir.
that is a gray area in the GST.
Yes, sir.
And though there are difference of opinion between the consultants on this, my opinion is that it is still a gray area, and there
Okay.
should not be any payment of RCM in it.
Because 9(4) and 5(4) have been resigned from September 2019.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I think that is your view also, what I am talking about.
Yes, sir. Exactly, sir. I just wanted your confirmation.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
sir.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot, sir.
Mr. Nalapandi. Mr. Nalapandi, if you are there.
Yeah, good evening, sir, Mr. Bangai, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Nalapandi.
Good evening, sir. I have registered clarification for department registration record GST REG 03.
Yes.
Okay. You have 2 registrations already got it. 1 registration for same date cancelled. Okay.
Okay.
It is necessary is asking notice for this. Cancelled, you have pending file for GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 completed, and I have approved the another new registration granted. The question here, that is GST REG 03 is issued. GSTR 10 is mandatory, this field or not required, sir?
No,
Same date will be cancelled.
It doesn't matter. If the registration is issued, you have to file the return. Even if it is cancelled same date, you have to comply. Even if it is for 1 hour, you have to comply.
1 day.
1 day, 1
is
hour.
1 day.
Even I am talking about 1 hour, you have to comply.
1 hour. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So friends,
Thank
with
you.
this, I think we will be closing the question and answer session, and we will be back by tomorrow at 4:45 p.m. Tomorrow we will be talking about input tax credit, and we will be talking about the export and import, and I would be try to be brief and to the point. I think I had been very fast today, but I would try to, my anxiety was to cover more and more topic. We will be again meeting tomorrow, and with this I think I would conclude the thing. I would request our organizer, Mr. Prashant, if he is here. I
Yes,
think
sir.
Prashant ji.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the session. And
Thank you.
The meeting details will continue to be the same tomorrow also. So hope to see everyone tomorrow. Thanks for your time.
So see you tomorrow at 4:45 tomorrow again, and we will have a good interactive session. Thank you and bye-bye.